I think we can start now.
Okay. Okay. Very good afternoon.
That more people will join in the meantime. So good morning or good afternoon or good very morning in Nigeria. Welcome to this sixth research forum series. So we had already five series in the past one year. For those of you who are participating in this forum, especially our friends from Nigeria who participating in this forum for the first time. This forum is one of the routine activities of the Global Associations for Micro, Small, Medium Enterprises and Sustainable Development Goals research in developing countries. And this forum is the platform for presenting research findings. So all researchers or scholars or lecturers can use this platform to present or to discuss not only research findings, but also new thoughts on a particular theory or an analytical model or methodology. So you are welcome. Everybody are welcome. Also, all universities or research institutes around the world are welcome to become a member of this association. So now in this sixth forum series, our research person is Dr. Sivakumari Supramaniam. She is a senior lecturer in Sunway Business School, Sunway University in Malaysia. And her topic for this morning is a sustainable health culture for small, medium, and enterprises. So, Dr. Sivakumari, the floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you so much, Prof, for giving this opportunity. Yeah, and I'm very pleased to be meeting colleagues from other divisions, especially from other countries who have come forward to listen to this forum. What I'm going to share is actually what we have done from a grant that we received recently. So it's not a one person's work. It's a group, a team of us were involved, and include Prof. Susila and also Dr. Tan Ailing, who's here for the session. So I'm going to share some of the work that we have done, outcome of the grant. And mainly we are looking at in terms of what are the challenges and what are the possible things their SMEs have done to overcome, especially as a post-pandemic actions. So I think without further ado, I think I'll share some slides. These slides just give you an overview of what we have done and what could be the key findings. Currently, we are working on the paper and the manuscript, and I will look forward to answer some of the possible questions you have at the end of the session. Let me share my screen. Okay, I hope you could see.
Yeah.
Can you see the
screen? You can see.
Okay, the topic that I'm going to talk about is called the sustainable health culture for SMEs. Okay, there are two things I would like to explore here, mainly about the term health culture. Okay, health culture has been something that we have found from the Harvard Business School, where they actually took this forward for the healthcare system. And mainly they are looking at the well-being of the healthcare industry. What we thought about it is actually this same framework would be useful for other sectors as well. So one of the sectors that we found fascinating is the small, medium enterprises, because mainly if you look in Malaysia, this is quite be a backbone for our business, part of the economy as well. And these small, medium enterprises come from a various range, which I'll discuss later. Some of it are very much micro, can be a family-run businesses, can be 1 or 2 employees, and it also ranges for until to 75 and above. So we're going to look about the small, medium enterprises, mainly looking at how they actually, what are their processes and what are the coping mechanism they had as a post-pandemic effect. And also we are also asking for way they have actually bounced back, especially after COVID, when many of them were hit by the COVID event itself. They've lost their income. Some of them have already come to a stage that they would have given up their businesses mainly because can't cope with the losses. I'm coming from a marketing background. I'm from Department of Marketing and Strategy and Innovation within the Sunway Business School. So, and many of my collaborators are for this particular project are coming from hospitality, center of governance, and mainly we looked into how these SMEs are coping well after the post-pandemic. So I have a few slides here that I would like to share. An agenda for today's forum is basically, I'm going to give you an overview. What is this culture of health is all about? And we had a few research questions that we actually proposed, and we tried to work on that research question to address based on the findings. The methodology that we propose is actually a qualitative. Looking at my background, I don't do so much of quantitative, but I come from a qualitative background. So we looked into some of the interviews, looking at the themes that arises, look at the interrelationship of the themes and what are the outcome that we are actually, or I would say not so much of an outcome is the insights that we gain from the interviews. And we also have some key findings, which are something that we thought could be useful for a discussion. And we definitely, this is only a surface of the research. There is a much more room to look into SMEs, especially we are looking at the Asian SMEs. Their struggles are much more different compared to the other developed countries. Future research, and I would love to take some questions from you at the end of the session. So this is actually from a grant that we applied. So we had quite a big team. The one I'm presenting is only the perspective of Malaysia, but we actually had worked with a couple of different countries. So the main themes is actually myself, Dr. Siva Kumari, and we also have the Associate Professor Alex from School of Hospitality, Dr. Tan, who was our former colleague from Sunway, but now she's based in China. She's also with us, and Miss Vijaya from School of Hospitality, and also Miss Siu Cheng, also from School of Hospitality. This is actually our main core teams, but we work closely with other countries as well. We have counterparts from Japan, Thailand. We also have one person from Vietnam, Indonesia, and James Cook University from Singapore. So what we are doing now is actually we are looking now country-based. That means we're just looking at each country, how the challenges has arises and what are the coping mechanism has been in place. But our outcome of this paper will be also useful to look at cross comparison. And is there a particular framework that we can develop looking at these different countries? And is there some kind of similarities or differences that arises from the challenges or in the coping mechanism as well? So the key understanding is to come up with the framework for culture of health, precisely looking at SMEs alone. And we have done a comparative, the intention is to do a comparative study between the main Japan, because they are the funding position for the Toshiba grant with the Southeast Asian countries. Mainly we looked at small, medium enterprises. And we also came across these small, medium enterprises are slightly different the way they are defined in different countries. Like in Malaysia, we have a certain statistics where they are considered as small, medium enterprises, whereas in other countries are slightly a bit more different than us. So yeah, at the initial stages, we do struggle a bit to get everyone on board to understand how do we define it. But then later on, we discussed that each country has a different definitions, and therefore those things will be actually mentioned in the manuscript. And we also believe that this pandemic is not something that only happened for Malaysia. Across board, all countries share that the pandemic actually has brought a major challenges for SMEs across from what they have understood from the interviews. And that's what we are going to look at. But for the purpose of today's series, I'm just focusing on Malaysia. So our other counterparts has their own key findings. Will be interesting to see a cross comparison between Malaysia and other countries as well. The culture of health, as I mentioned earlier, is a terminology that we found it. I mean, has been in the literature for some time, but the only thing is the focus was much more for healthcare system. So we found that this culture of health has a certain framework mainly there are 4 framework they are looking at, which is mainly we see it as a stakeholders for any businesses. And the applicability to SMEs is quite good as well, because now SMEs can't work on silos. They need to work with their counterparts, especially with the communities, with the customers, with the employees, and so on and so forth, to make sure the businesses prosper. So we thought this particular model can be a good underlying framework for us to work on. And of course, we are looking forward to improvise or to look at some of the new pillars that actually can arise from the discussions from Malaysia or also across other countries. And these different pillars that we have looked at is actually mainly looking at how the company works closely with them, even though we know that now with sustainability coming with full-fledged even small medium enterprises are not going to be siloed. They have to take on board all the ESG goals and so on. But how do they do that? Are they prepared for it, or is this going to be something that takes time for company to absorb the ESG goals and so on? So the framework has 4 pillars here. These 4 pillars are mainly what we looked at. So we define our questions based on it. The first pillar we looked at is basically on the consumer health. Even though the word health can be a bit more difficult when we start explaining, but what we wanted to know is how companies are taking care of the well-being of their own consumers in terms of their products and services. Are they taking concern about the products or not? Is there a safety concern of that, or is there integrity? Are they disclosing all the information for them? And to what extent consumer health is become their priority in terms of designing their product? So that's one of the pillar that we looked at. The another pillar that actually come up for, especially for small, medium enterprises, is the employee health, the workers' well-being. That means in terms of their safety, their working hours, are they in terms of being taken care, even though they are actually being employed for a salary, but to what extent the company is going beyond what the regulated by governments, because I'm sure the government has certain things that you have to be in place for employees to be hired, but are they going anything extra? Is there an extra way of retaining their own employees? And this is quite fascinating, because some of the the insights we receive from employee health is slightly different than what we actually projected. So the health of employees we looked at, what are the things in place, especially is there any kind of policies, practices, and since it's a small medium enterprises, some of these are not becoming formalized, because they do it out of their concern, out of their way to help their own employees. So workplace practices, what are the workplace practices and programs? So we looked at the employee health. We also look at one more bigger thing that's now becoming more important is community health. Do the SMEs become immersed with community or not? Or they are silo in a sense that they are only looking into their businesses. So how to what extent they're actually going beyond their businesses to go into looking into communities? Is there any areas they're looking at that become they are known in their own community, or they're becoming a bit more step back and say, oh, this might not belong to me because I don't have enough capital to invest on communities. And one of the other areas that we looked at is environmental health. That means, do companies really concern about the environment or not? Is one of the area, is it something that is part of their policies? Are they taking consideration of in terms of how their businesses are having an impact on the environment? And so we looked at some of these areas. So these underpin 4 pillars were given as one of the bone, because we are doing across different countries. We want all our collaborators to be on the same page. So what we did is we actually try to have these 4 pillars as the underlying. When each pillars we have a certain of almost the similar questions we ask the interviews. So this will be easier for us to do a cross analysis across the different countries. This followed by this, we looked into, we formed the research questions. We looked into the challenges of SMEs encounter, because mainly if we go to the SMEs, they are coming from different backgrounds. Many of them are confined to their business operations and so on. So we do not want to put forward the word culture of health, because it might coming very much from the academic area. So we try to go and say, what are the challenges you had and how do you take care of the well-being of your stakeholders? So some we explain who could be their stakeholders, And that's where we found that even some organization, they are very much into their operations practices. They do not have so much connection to any other stakeholders unless on the transactional levels. So we want to explore what are the challenges they had in terms of the post-pandemic period and how do they overcome. Was there anything, any kind of support in place, or was it done on their own initiatives? Do they become stronger after the post-pandemic? So these are some of the insight we found a bit different, because some of the SMEs thought, they say that they become much more strengthened because of the pandemic, which we were thinking the otherwise and say maybe it has weakened them. So to explore the challenges, then ultimately what we are looking at is to come up with a culture health framework. This is a work in progress at the moment, because we only have collected from Malaysia and we have analyzed it, and we are hoping that our manuscript will be out soon. So in terms of methodology, mainly the team that we have is quite a diverse team. Some of us are very good in statistics, and some of us are very good in qualitative. And I'm coming from the qualitative background, so therefore we had a bit of more of protocol of running how to do this qual method. So we try to explore using an interview, because interview was one of the easiest. And due to the SMEs are still struggling to come back to business, many of them do not have time to have face-to-face interview with us. So we opted for online interviews, which we found quite interesting, because mainly we could do it at any point of time when they are free. And we at the initial stages, we had a bit of difficulties to get SMEs on board. But through word of mouth, and also some of their referrals brought a bit more people into the participation of the interview. So the sample size was seized after the 16, when we found that there's no new insight. Many of them are almost telling the similar areas. So we seized the interviews at 16 in terms of sample size. Participants generally, we have to look into because we also want to make sure that we don't do a very generalized one. We want to have a bit of focus inside. So we looked into two main sectors only. When we are looking at manufacturing, because manufacturing also we define who are these people coming as SMEs. So we went back to literature and some of the secondary research, and we found that SMEs are defined as firms with sales turnover not exceeding 50 million, or the number of full-time employees not exceeding 200. So we try to look into that as something like it's like more of an inclusion. We want this kind of SMEs to be included. And for the service sector, we define the sales turnover not exceeding 20 million, or the number of full-time employees not exceeding 75. So this was something we put it as a criteria upfront. So if we happen to have anyone coming forward from the manufacturing sector or service sector from this particular criteria, we will definitely take on board. And one of the things we also struggle is some of these SMEs do send us, we are hoping that the main owners would be able to participate. But due to some of the constraints, we do have some people who are on the top management. We also had some key employees coming in. But generally, our interviews flow quite well, because they're able to contribute to some of the fraction of the questions. So even though we had 4 pillars, not all 4 pillars are being addressed by one person. So while we try to make sure that they have some importance given, and that is a good thing to see as well, because we, as far as pillars are concerned, we assume that stakeholders have equal importance to SMEs. But depending on the sectors, maybe for manufacturing, environment become much more important, and for services, maybe the customers become more important pillar. So we let the flow of conversation takes place to see which pillars are become prioritized by the SMEs as well. In terms of findings, we actually focused on 7, because even though we set our target a bit higher, but when we are getting interviews and so on, we also focus on SMEs, which is 50 employees, even though we wanted a bigger, larger group. But due to some constraints, we end up with SMEs with 7 to 50 employees within the 2 industries. So this is actually a snapshot of what we had as a criteria. So we don't go into a dimension. But one of the area that we like to look at is also not the small, medium enterprises, but also the micro, because micro also plays an important, that allows us to look into how the small medium enterprises are focusing on the pillars. But when we looked at it, there are also people coming forward from micro as well. I can see the chat. Is there anything I need to explain? Okay. So let me further, but in front of my screen, I could see only my PowerPoint. So if there's any chat, if you would like to ask questions, feel free to do so. Maybe you would have to use the mic. I can't see the chat function. In terms of services and manufacturing, these are the two contexts we had. So we had services, quite a diverse area. We have wellness center, restaurant, retail, food delivery, distribution, accounting, and warehousing. For manufacturing, we have a bit more confined, furniture, superfood producers, and OEM. So this is actually the industry that actually came forward. We managed to convince a few other, but I think because of the time constraint and the availability of theirs, they can't participate. So moving forward is actually, I'm going to discuss more on the key findings. This is some of the main quotes that actually arises, that we actually use it to come up with more on cluster to find out what are the areas that the employees or the employee well-being is taken care of. So one of the quote they said is belief in the physical, the mental, financial, occupational, relational, spiritual, and recreational. So this is slightly bigger than what we thought, because we thought that employee well-being might be only focused on maybe finance or maybe physical or mental, but they even come across about more on being relational. They mean building relationship with them, or being spiritual. That means not looking at your employees as part of the organization, but also having some kind of a tighter connection. That means you might be able to retain them. And some employees are seen as part of the family. So if they have any kind of personal issues, they brought forward to the management take it aboard and says, okay, in order for me to help you, what are the additional things I can see? Some of them even offer scholarships for their children. Some of them even paid their medical bills. But these practices doesn't been formalized by across SMEs, but is one-off, which we thought that is something interesting to look at. And the second, one of the other interesting insight we found is, no doubt we are small, but the goal of this company, or why we ask this question, is to know how we can fairly compensate these people. So some SMEs, they thought that the well-being come from financial. If I can pay you on time and my workers are happy about it, that makes me good enough to take care of them. But some other organization go far beyond that. And one of the other insight that we say is, so we realize that if you pay people better, you treat them better as well. So
Dr. Kumari,
mainly, yes.
Dr. Kumari, this word are from the respondents or from you?
From participants.
Oh, participant. Okay.
Yeah. This is actually the participants' quote from the interviews.
Okay, fine.
So what we did is we actually took the quotes out so that we could share with you what they are saying.
Yeah.
And one of the other interesting we find is they are talking about employee happiness survey. So these are some of the pillars that we thought will be good. So one of the key employees say that they actually have employee happiness survey. They want to find out whether they are happy being in the organization or not. So these are actually quotes extracted from the interviews itself. Thank you, Prof, for asking. The next one is actually what we came in as a team. So we found that based on the 16 interviews we have done, we actually found these are the major areas that actually, in terms of employee well-being, are focused on. So one of the area that you look at is physical health. They think that if the employees are taken care in terms of their physical health, if they might not take too many MCs, they might not come to work and so on. But remember, we are talking not to the employees, but for the key employee of the organization. So he or she is representing the organization. What are the practices done by them? And social benefits are basically, I think some of it in Malaysia is already been written. You have to give them the number of holidays and so on. And those are the things they have to comply. But other than that, some of the other SMEs owners were saying that we do bring them out for, I think, for outings. We do bring them for dinners. We do celebrate their birthdays and so on. So not only looking at social benefits, engaging within the organization. That means outside the organization also they have, especially when it comes to festive seasons, they get together and so on. So I think I've mentioned here annual dinners, karaoke dinners, and overseas trips. But this slowed down a bit after the COVID. They used to do it more before the COVID. And finance is one thing they struggle a bit, because why most of the SMEs had one of the key intention is when it comes to during COVID is to make sure they pay them on time. And that makes them a bit more tied in terms of offering any other extra benefits. And one of the area we looked at also, because of COVID, I think the employees have undergone a bit more difficult positions, maybe losing a partner's job, or maybe one of the family members getting ill and all that. So mental health become one of the things they raised as well. And work environment plays a very important role for them, because they said that if people are having a conducive work environment, they are actually looking forward to come back to the organization. And some organization take one step further to have career advancement. That means if you are working with the organization, starting from even if you are starting as a junior executive, what would be your advancement like? So we actually summarize it into some of the main employee well-being they looked at. Funding wise, they have education funds for individual and families. Environment wise, they talked about not so much about fancy infrastructure, like having a air purifier, okay, having a clean pantry. That's some of the things they actually emphasize. Career advancements wise, they talked about a bit more. Some of the employees have been working with them for a long term, and they want to progress them to a higher level. And they do sponsor some of the graduate programs. One of the organization actually mentioned about retirement plan. They actually have a plan for their employees if they stay longer with them, and what would be the perks they will get once they retire. And I think most SMEs learn something new because of the pandemic is flexibility to work at home. But not all organizations could do that, because we are looking at manufacturing and services. So some work are being on rotations. That means some employees come to the work and some other take turns on working from home. And they also had something called accommodation benefits. These are normally come in for, especially if you're running some kind of service sector, where the accommodation plays an important role. And health related benefits, where they had some of them had a gym subscription, medical insurance, and also they talked about mental health, having one-to-one sense. But across board, we would see that employee well-being is something most SMEs thought it is most important to them, because they are running with a small number of people, and without this strength of these people, they can't deliver the product or services to the consumers. But one of the interesting insight we found from here is what I've quoted here. We pay our salaries on the 27th of every single month. But working with this particular fintech solution, that means what they're trying to do is the staff can withdraw the money before the 27th. That means if the staff is actually short of money on the 15th of the month, but they want to take a bit of their salary earlier than that, the company allows. This we thought something interesting, because majority of the time we get a 1 day salary paid. That means maybe they fix a day that everyone gets the same salary. But some, due to COVID, where they realize that people have different challenges, especially they want an advancement of payment to be done earlier. This particular SME says they are currently working with a fintech. The staff can actually withdraw the money throughout the month. So it is not one lump sum. So that's one of the insight we found. But moving forward, we also look at challenges, because we thought these are some of the challenges they brought
Something connection problem.
it up. Because of non-operation, the most of the employees a bit of burnout and say we don't close because we are located in the mall, so every day we have to open. So this is one of the things, even though the company says we have policies, they have annual leave and all that, but one of the area the staff mentioned is the participant mentioned is exhausting workload. That means they actually work longer hours than what they're supposed to do, mainly to cover up the expenses or some of the losses they have made. And another thing they talk about creating company values and culture. Try to maintain a culture at the workplace is something is not easy to do. So even though the company says, yeah, we are trying to get everyone to follow SOPs and all that, but cooperation wise among employees are difficult. Uh, Honestly, I think employees nowadays, they don't really find a sense of ownership. So even though we say talk about employee well-being, the policies and practices are in place, there's also some of the challenges that's coming up. Mainly, you need to get cooperation of your employees. If they're having some kind of physical health, or maybe they're having some kind of challenge to make everyone to be healthy and so on. But it all will only come in if all the employees are engaging on it. So it could be more of a coming up with the policies, but nobody takes it on board to get it executed, and where they think it could be a problem. And also during this COVID time, they have actually had problem with workforce, because many of them either they have gone back, or people become a bit more reluctant to take up a job. So in one of the organization, they said that they're having a foreign workers is actually harder for them. Mainly, they are only here for a short period of time, and they might leave, and that becomes a bit more difficult for them to manage the day-to-day operations in terms of running the businesses. So the employee well-being has two things. One is we're looking at the policies in place, but we also see that the culture that has actually developed after the post-COVID is slightly different. So we are thinking that to what extent this actually comes to a bit more, much more on a clearer gap, to see whatever the company is proposing or is in place, can it be executed without the engagement of the employees or not? So the well-being who is not only the company's responsibility, it also has to be come from the employees who wants to participate. So that's findings one. Moving forward, is actually we look at the second pillar. The second pillar comes in on consumer well-being. Most of the organizations feel that consumers are the most important part, because that's where the revenue comes in. So they really take care of their product, make sure the product is safe, because they believe that if the customers are not happy, they might not have repeat buyers. They also looked into the healthy and lifestyle. Some of them not only selling the product, because the COVID has given them a bit of liberty to see what is the right thing to do. So one of, I think, a food delivery business, they was mentioning that they actually have a menu, a healthy menu being proposed to the customers. So not only they are trying to sell a product or market a product, they also try to educate people on what would be the better healthy lifestyle they can have. They also have a lot of SOP followed to make sure that they could assist customers in case they have any difficulties. So compared to employee well-being and consumer well-being, I think employee well-being was one of the earlier one they mentioned more highly. Consumer well-being, they focus mostly about only the product or services that they render. And they themselves says that they are the most important to them, because they are the one who brings in the revenue. So in place wise, whether the customers are going to be repeat buyers or not, depending on whether the customers are satisfied with the product. In terms of the main thing that we found out from the teams is they talked a bit of more on producing products that are energy saving products, because they believe that environment is important. It's only thing they have is the willingness of consumers to pay more, because most of these environmentally friendly product needs a bit of investment from the company. But so they were quite there is a trade-off between whether the consumers are willing to shift to energy saving products or not. But to do that, they need to have some kind of awareness or education that takes place. They also talked about a bit more on using a sustainable and recycled materials, because it also helped them in cost savings. But one of the main important for them is customer satisfaction. They say that whatever asked and done, they have to meet the customers' expectations. And depending on the different tiers of customers they're having, some of the older customers who have been long with the organization are a bit more difficult to change to energy saving products, and whereas the younger generation was much more easier to educate. So these are some of the things we thought could be a future research, looking at whether is there a difference in the understanding of environment or not between the older generation and the younger generation. And also one of the I think food delivery organization, they talked a bit highly about the healthy ingredients. They said that they actually become a bit more aware about the sourcing for the right product and educating people what are the right things to eat. And they also talked about consumers with special needs, because COVID has brought a bit of differences in people preferences. Maybe people are becoming more aware about what are the right things to buy and so on. So consumers with special needs are also taken care. So if you look at this particular area, we looked into mostly about uh, the product safety, the sourcing the right materials. They also talk about not only looking at one specific target market, but also looking at people with special needs. That means they do understand that different people have different needs, and it might not be a blanket approach to help everyone. And quality assurance wise, they also talked about a bit more maintaining some kind of protocols or things in principles in place to make sure that whatever they deliver is actually quality products. But one of the things they also highlighted is perceived value. I think that we know that from marketing perspective itself, different people have different expectations of what they are receiving as an end product. So this might not be a blanket approach. So according to them, even though they might have energy saving products, which might be in a long term benefit their customers, but at the point of time, if the consumers are requesting something different, they have to cater for it. But in the long term, they are moving towards educating more and more people on using right materials, make sure that they are coming up into on board on the environmental consciousness and so on. What are the challenges they had is about more on customer engagement. As I mentioned earlier, it's because the perceived values are different. Therefore, of course, they might have different kind of preferences what they are looking at. So this is one of the areas that we looked at. Is we always have prepared ourselves for compensation as well, because there are many direct, indirect issues that keep happening around us. So these companies they do understand it's not like a smooth operation where everybody accept the product. They do have hiccups here and there. They also have operational loads, because they are interested in getting things on time for their consumers, and the perceived high prices. Mainly because if you're looking at environmental friendly product, because they have to make sure the products comply to a few policies and materials and so on. And this ends up with the higher prices. And whether this willingness to pay by consumers is something that most SMEs found it difficult, because they need to convince them that the product is much better because it's an environmental friendly product and so on. So perceived high risk and lack of awareness of sustainability is one of the area brought up during the interviews as well. And we will now move on to the next one, the findings 3. Okay, if you really look at the first two, we had a lot of people talking about it. When it comes to community well-being, we also become a bit more surprised, because many of these organizations think we are not in that big position to help the community. It's actually the bigger players are in a better position. So SMEs are generally looking at their own operations. So we don't have that many people are talking about it, and at the magnitude whereby I think financial resources are required. So one of the struggle they have, they think that to go beyond their business or to reach the community, they need more finance, and they are not in that place yet to help the community yet. And one of the organization actually said they are not going, these CSR things are very much for rich organization or bigger organization, not so far for them. So as long as they do the operation well, the customers are happy, the employees are taken care, that's becoming their most important priority. But however said and done, they do have once in a while doing some of the CSR activities, but not as a formalized one. Like some of them have donation drive, donations of planting the trees. They do have free consultations, because one of the SMEs we hired is actually coming from litigation. So he actually offers on his own free consultations. Environmental conscious purchase sustainable materials, ad hoc help for needy. But these are not formalized policies across SMEs. This is done on an ad hoc basis. That means some organizations do it out of their own interest to help their own employees and so on. From here, we could see that community well-being is one of the furthest pillar for SMEs at the moment. But again, this is only in the Malaysian context. We might be able to see it, whether this is a similar situation in Singapore, Japan, or other way when we do a cross comparison between the other countries as well. One of the challenges that they mention is about their own operational. Most of these SMEs, what they talked about is they are looking into, because they actually hit by COVID. And one of the area they are really affected is losing their customers and their businesses. So their main focus at this period of time is more on operational focus. But participating in CSR project is something they would like to look at in the future, but not at the moment yet, because they are trying to survive with whatever resources they have. As I mentioned earlier, I think financial resources is one of their main constraints. Moving forward to the final pillar is the environmental well-being. This is something I think we can see a clear division between the manufacturing and services. The manufacturing, I think they already have in place some of the policies they have to comply in order to get to retain their licenses. So this, especially those who are doing the furniture industry, they actually mentioned they have to follow the certain getting the right source of materials, processing it, getting it, make sure they are using a proper recycled materials and so on. So from time to time, there are authorities that come in general. That means not only they have to do it, they're also it's a regulated kind of industry where they have people coming for inspection. So if you really want to make sure you run the businesses well and to be licensed, they have to comply it. And that's one of the reasons. So more of environmental well-being thought comes in because of compliance. On the supply side, meaning we try to find out if there are any other alternative suppliers. So meanwhile, some of these people have a bit of struggle in terms of getting the right supplier as well. So because one of their main concern is cost. Because in order for them to shift from their current practice to a much more environmental practice, even though they like it, the one of the thing back of their mind is this going to increase my cost or not? And if this cost is increased, could they able to transfer this cost to the customers? And what kind of awareness they have to have in place to make sure the customers feel that they're buying the right product. Otherwise, it will become more on a price competition between their own place itself. Environmental well-being wise, we could see that these are some of the themes that rises across the interviews. Generally, they talk about compliance. They need to make sure they do it. Otherwise, either their license will be revoked and so on. They also have a bit of a struggle about material sourcing, because one of it is during COVID, they need to establish them as a better organization to get the suppliers I think to establish a trust to get the right product on time. Cost is still always a factor, and the buyer's mindset. They still feel that not every customers they have is inclined to buy an expensive product because it's environmental based. But they say over a period of time, this can be changed because of the different generation of buyers they have. As I mentioned earlier, the older generation, they struggle a bit more harder compared to the younger generation, who are much more welcoming about environmental products. And how do they do the waste disposable? So not only getting the product, the waste management is one of the main concern as well. So I think that's actually brings about environmental well-being. So the challenges they have is in terms of cost-wise, they looked into whether the environment of businesses, because they're small at the moment, and in order for them to increase the cost, that could be actually a bit more weighing down on their profits and time consuming, because it takes more of their time to look into how are they going to dispose it, and that also incur cost for them. And they also have a quite honest explanation saying that to be very honest, I think the challenge is between the middle management and the team members. They still feel that the communication is actually a bit more a bit more top down, where they more instructions given without looking at more of engaging with the operational side of it. So these are some of the key findings. We have looked into the main 4 pillars, starting from customer, employees, community, and environment. I'm coming to the end of my presentations. This is some of the new insights. We even though we said that we had the 4 pillars, sorry, we looked into the employees' mental well-being, because this is something I think is some areas that maybe even though we say well-being, it can be even explore a bit more deeper, how the employee see it as in terms of mental well-being wise. What are the things that have taken place? Sorry. We are also looking at consumer education about sustainable lifestyle, and what are the ad hoc practices they have. In terms of areas of improvement, they look at government support. Is one of the area they look forward. And in terms of one of the other pillars they're looking at is a happiness index and culture of honor, because they say the culture of honor is one of the most important part of it. Okay, I'll stop my presentation here. I look forward for some questions.
Okay, thank you very much, Mari. That was an interesting presentation. Even for me, this is a new issue related to small medium enterprises, so I enjoy very much. Dr. Kumari, it seems to me that your targeted small enterprises are the modern ones, which have a shop in a mall, something like that. So I wonder if your targeted respondents are from traditional micro enterprises located in rural areas. Maybe we will have a different story. Do you think so?
Yeah, I think so, because the one we took is from the urban one.
Yeah, I see. Okay, the floor is open for question. Please ask directly to Dr. Kumari, maybe Professor Himachalam. Oh, unmute your microphone. Your microphone.
Yeah, I will do it. Thank you. Hearty congratulations, Dr. Kumari, for your nice presentation in a new dimension of SMEs. And I'm having one question for you. That is whether SMEs are having that much of affordability to meet all well-being expenses or well-being facilities for all the stakeholders of SMEs. That is one question. And another one is, as their size of operation, size of business is and the investment as well is very limited, they can spend that much of amount for the welfare, towards the welfare of the people who are involved, maybe for financial or for health and other related aspects. Is it possible? As per my understanding, SMEs are having a lot of issues with limited business transactions and turnover, and they can't go for that much the huge facilities towards their employees as major industrial undertakings are doing, because they can't spare that much of amount for CSR and other related aspects. And of course, I don't know the situation in Malaysia. I am very much interested to know from you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Prof. Basically, I think we have the same concern, because some organizations are doing not as CSR. They are just to
connection problem. Okay.
helping out a lot of their businesses during the COVID. So I think they don't government only. So the government might say, oh, you must give them annual leave and so on. They are complying that. But whether they have extra to do, take care of the employees or not, I think it's case by case. It's by one of the organizations says that they see their employees like family, because they know how the struggle is going to be, and they do help in them. But across the board, we don't see it as a pattern, Prof.
Okay, still I'm having one doubt. You told me that gym facility and other facilities, is it possible for micro and small enterprises to provide all?
They only
Because of
provide
their,
subscription.
yeah, okay.
So they don't own it, but they help them to have it. But this is based on what the employees, I mean, the participants have mentioned to us, because we
Yeah,
want to know.
yeah, it is good if they can provide, but my doubt is because of their very limited and trivial business operations, they need more financial support and other things to meet all this.
Yeah.
It is a good sign if they are doing. The people who are involved in the process may have jubilant mood to work more. They will contribute more. The productivity will be more, and their turnover will be more, their profitability will be more, they can enhance their, say, financial status. It's a good sign. I am not denying, but whether actually they can afford to do all this. If they can do, it is well. It is a good sign. New kind of business operations.
Prof, we agree, but we also have a clause here, because we have taken from the employee's perspective. If we go to the employee, we might have a different story as well.
Yes,
So there
yes.
might be a room to study this from employee's perspective. We are taking from the employer. So employer might just tell us what they're doing. So there could be a room for it.
Dr. Kumari,
Yeah.
You have 4 pillars.
Yep.
Which one that you found much better perform, that satisfied your expectation?
I think from the 4 pillars, we thought only the employee well-being have been mentioned upfront.
Yeah.
There are other community, and community becomes the least. Environment is important for manufacturing.
Yeah. Agree.
Customers, we just ask, they answer the questions only. But the moment we say we want to talk about well-being, the first thing that came out is actually about more on employee only. So we pursue, because we think that, because the connectivity of the stakeholder, that is a good question, Prof, because that means the ties that is connected to the stakeholders, to SMEs, the employee is the one that is the strength one. The other could be the weaker ties.
Yeah. So what I understand, your study is also cover SME in Indonesia.
Yes, we do.
And what is the result?
That we have still we have already got it. We have not got the findings yet. One of our colleague, Dr. Napuna, he's actually in charge of the SME collections there.
So this is still an ongoing study, research.
I think we have completed the data collection. It's just now finding analysis. Mine is done. That's why I intend to present it. So we are actually thinking of doing a cross comparison.
Great.
Yeah.
So, okay, questions? Maybe Dr. Adamu? Adamu, you have questions? Please. Good afternoon, yeah? Good morning.
Yes, good morning, Prof. How are you?
Fine. Please,
really, I have benefited more from Dr. Kumari's presentation. Very
okay, connection.
Wonderful and applicable not only in Indonesia or Malaysia or Asia, but to all other countries, more especially here in Africa. Issue of uplifting and developing or strengthening these micro, small, and medium enterprises is very, very important, because now in the world we are facing a lot of challenges, and paying attention on these micro, small, and medium enterprises in different perspective can help our people in order not to be jobless in our societies. Really, she highlighted more issues and more new ideas to me. I can say to me, not to you all, but to me, they are new ideas, and I will try as much as possible to at least try to practice what she highlighted and what she recommended in her presentation in order to produce another ideas or to coin her ideas presented and my own ideas later in order to do something, maybe to have another topic to be presented in this forum next time from here in Nigeria by the grace of God. I really impress her. I really appreciate her presentation, and I wish if she have any other project like this, let her at least let her contact me in order to join and do the research. Not only her, all our members, once you have any project, let us join hands and do the needful to execute that project. More especially, you are from another continent. I am another from another continent. So when we join hands, we have more ideas in order to improve these micro, small, and medium enterprises all over the world. Thank you, Dr. Barmot Project.
That is a good idea to expand this kind of research to other continents, to SMEs in Africa, for instance. Okay.
And if possible, sir, let Dr. Kumar have my email in chat, at least to continue discussing for later.
Yeah, but we have in the WhatsApp group, yeah. You name the WhatsApp group. Okay, Dr. Adelea, you have questions? Dr. Adelea, promise.
Yes, sir.
Do you have,
this is a wonderful presentation, and I've really learned a lot, and like I'm ready to really work more and dig deep into more insights on the state topic. So I appreciate the presenter, doctor. Thanks so much. It's such a wonderful moment, and I'm happy to be here, and I would love to be part of this further future research. Thanks so much, Prof.
Okay. I hope Dr. Kumari understand what she's talking about.
I'm sorry, I didn't get it clearly. Is there a question?
Dr. Adelea, maybe you can repeat again.
Okay, it's not a question. I just appreciate that it's such a wonderful session, like informative and educative enough. And I said I hope to be part of the further research to dig deep to have more insight on particular topic. Well done, doctor. You've done well.
Thank you so much, Adeli. Thank you so much.
Okay, exactly 12 o'clock. As we plan,
Prof. Tulus, may I say something?
Professor, please.
Yeah, just to thank Dr. Kumari for her presentation. I think it's very helpful to share this with all our friends from other contingents, and I think I'm encouraged by a lot of interest from other researchers. I think it would be a very good idea to expand this to also look at Africa as a continent and see how this language or this framework of culture of health can be explained by practices by MSMEs around the world. So thank you for the presentation. And I must also thank Prof. Tulus for helping us get respondents from Indonesia. We will push and share the findings from Indonesia very soon.
You're welcome.
I would like to add also, one of the reasons we got this Toshiba grant is from Susila's contact, because cultural health is something new to us as well. So through her Center of Governance, we are able to get an idea how to go about it. So thanks, Prof.
You're welcome. Dr. Adamu, I see your right hand. You will ask.
Yes.
Please.
Well, I hope my appeal or my what I asked her, if possible, let us at least think together and have another project either similar to this or something else concerning the improvement of these small and medium enterprises in both the continent. For example, to join hand with you and we from Africa at least to do another research project on this.
Mm.
Yeah. But by the way, don't forget the main aim of the Global Association of SMA and SDGs research is to encourage collaboration in research among different researchers, scholars from different universities, from different countries. So let me make this as if the study already expanded to Africa, just let me consider it as the first example of this global association. Okay, if no questions, oh yeah, Professor Mutiara, please, still unmute. Professor Mutiara, the microphone. Yeah, Professor Mutiara from Trisakti University.
Okay, thank you.
Please.
Thank you, Pak Tulus. Okay, so I think there is not only five challenging to operate the small, medium, and I think it is also the same with the big company, Dr. Kumari, because in my opinion, and then I have also learned about not only because of the product, customer, community, environment well-being, but it's also, you say that it's also because of the culture, and then not only by the culture, but also by the government and also by the supplier. Yeah, that's right. So from the beginning to so there is a circular flow there to make the product can be well known by the customer, and then can be accepted by the customer. And then talking about the culture that you said, but you don't make any explanation what kind of the culture using by the Malaysian or Indonesia. So you have, I think it is also very, very, very interesting if you also see the different culture. Yes, I think so. And then it is a culture of national culture, not the culture of organization, right? Okay, thank you. So that's also
Thank you.
Because I'm very, very interested in my.
Please, Dr. Kumari.
Okay, thank you.
Interesting questions. Dr. Kumari?
Yeah, it's a very interesting I think, yeah, definitely that we do see a culture. One of the things they talked about is culture of honor. That means they say if you are doing something and you are being given appreciation within the organization, that also actually improves their productivity. So I think we could explore, because this is something mentioned as one, but it's not across the 16. It's only one. So we are also, maybe there could be a future research. Is there differences in organization in terms of culture or not? Because they want engagement, but if there is no underlying culture to hold that, then they might be having the other kind of a problem as well.
But I think not the organization culture, but the national culture.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. And then the other thing is I wanna okay. Go ahead. Yeah.
Dr. Adeleye, you want to ask? You want to say something? Professor Mutiara, is that the question?
I think that's okay.
Okay, fine.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. If no other questions, maybe Dr. Mercy or Dr. Timmy. Okay, I think exactly 10:12. Oh yeah, Sofiat Busari from Nigeria, please.
Yeah, thank you so much, Prof. I really want to appreciate Dr. Kumari for her beautiful presentation. I have learned a lot. In fact, I'm happy that I'm part of this presentation this morning, because the culture of health is something totally new to me. I haven't heard of it before, and I think it's a really good area to explore. And as outside of SMSE, you can also, you know, apply it to different areas of life. You know, I was initially thinking, I was confused about who the participants were, but I think according to the question asked by Professor Imachalam, sorry if I didn't pronounce your name well, I think you've been able to clarify that it was only the SMEs that you interviewed. But to me, I think it's like asking somebody to rate herself poor. I think you'd have gotten a better perspective if you were able to interview the SMEs as well as the workers, the employees. At least they are the ones, especially in the area of well-being and mental health. I think they are the ones wearing the shoes. They know where it hurts the most. So I think that would have been a balanced, a more balanced approach. But like you said, I think you've already addressed that. It can also be like an area of further research. Other people can also adopt it. You don't have to do everything by yourself. But I really, in fact, I've been looking for a way to carve a niche for myself, you know, in the academia, because I'm an early career academic. And I think this is one beautiful area that I would like to look into, because it also incorporates the environmental well-being, environmental health of the society, as well as CSR. So I think it's a way of, you know, merging different things together to form a beautiful whole. So thank you so much. I'm really, really grateful for this presentation. And thank you to the organizers as well.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Sofiat. I think we come to the end of this meeting. So for everybody, especially those who for the first time participating in this research forum, if you have research finding want to discuss or to present, please let me know. Then we can organize a meeting like this. By the way, in November we have 2 meetings for November, but December is still open. But for November we have already 2 in the waiting list. So thank you very much for everybody. It was very interesting, especially Dr. Kumari. Thank you for your willingness because I approached you to please present your study in our forum. And then you say, okay, then I was very happy. So we see you next month, November, in another meeting, another forum number 7. Have a nice weekend. Keep healthy and safety. Yeah? And I see you then in the next research series next month. Thank you very much. I close this meeting.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much.
Thank you.